smiling at me and sort of like almost like she knew who I was and that, or maybe I'd been there before, or I don't know. Anyway, God, this is just, my eyes are just pouring and my hands are sweating and my mouth is so dry. Um, I yeah, I just remember knowing that I was gonna have to give my ring up, and that was it. And I remember her trying to, I guess, encourage me, and so I just remember dropping my ring into the fishbowl, and I remember it floating down, almost like a piece of paper, kind of being dropped in the wind, like from your hand, it just kind of floating and rocking back and forth, and then just hitting the ground, and I just remember like all the air and sort of like energy in my body when the ring hit the bottom of the bowl just being sucked out and it being gone, like I was a paper thin or something, like I don't know, I just remember being empty, and yeah, and then I it kind of gets blurry, but I remember I was about to leave Japan to come home, and I saw maybe Amanda called me, or I don't know how, but I remember that I was talking to her, and she said she was so upset, and God, I don't know if I can get through this. She said that that the child that she had, they'd adopted or something, um, had had died in a fire, and I just remember being devastated for her. And then she asked if I would come to the funeral, and um, it was this weird. I was just like the Karate Kid or something. Everything looked like that, and then I remember writing like I remember going to the funeral and everybody was in like traditional like Japanese attire, and I remember writing my name in the sign book in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese or read. I've got no knowledge of the language at all. Um, and I remember being there and talking to people there, and they were saying how nice it was that I was there, and then like Amanda was like happy to see me, but obviously very devastated, and there was like this ceremony, and everybody had to say something, and uh, God, I'm fighting so hard not to like just go away on you guys. I just remember fighting really hard not to cry, and I remember thinking like this is your chance to not make it about you for once. And so then it got to me, and I just said I said something from the art of war, um, and then something from the book of the Five Rings. They're both military books that have been used as like sort of philosophy books. The first was a reading from a part that inspired. Imagine by John Lennon, and it's about imagining a world where there's no heaven or hell. And um, I'll bring it. I'll find the scripture. I don't want to misquote it because it means a lot to me. And then the other is by Miyamoto. He was like a samurai warrior, and he was really successful. He was like the Kim Kardashian of samurai warriors, and he he said, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things." And so it's this idea of if you want to be a good a samurai warrior, sword fighter, you got to learn to be a good gardener. And if you want to learn to be a good gardener, you've got to learn to be a good poet. And if you want to learn to be a good poet, you got to learn to be a good calligraphy writer. And then if you want to be a good calligraphy writer, you got to learn to be a good father. And if you want to be a good father, you got to learn to be a good son. And then it just and then it reverses on itself, and it's a beautiful way to kind of understand life. So if you know, they're kind of universal truths. And anyway, I'm getting off topic because I don't want to talk about this anyway. So I just said that, and then they it was like one of those kind of ancient Rome kind of things where they burned the. It would have been like before cremation or something, where they would have like burnt the thing, and I just remember being so sad for her because she'd finally gotten this life, and she was away, and she was out, and she was still suffering, and I didn't want her to suffer. And I remember thinking, I wish it was me instead of her child. And I remember seeing Amanda's parents and her dad looking at me and him thinking, you know, it should have been you. And me, like, it was like we were talking telepathically or something. Or I don't, maybe we didn't, maybe it was above language. I don't know, but it was just so sad. It was like soul crushingly sad. And I remembered seeing that Eric Clapton was there, and that was surreal. And then you know, in hindsight, I'm thinking maybe that had something to do with knowing that he lost his. Sorry, I got a phone call from Amanda. Maybe that was really good timing. So yeah, Eric Clapton, and he wrote "Tears in Heaven" because his son or his child fell out of a window in Manhattan when he was a very young baby. It's a very sad story, and I just remember being so sad, like that I would never be happy again, and could never be happy again. And it was like a certainty, like just soul crushing, like a Dementor from Harry Potter. God, this sucks. So yeah, that it goes on for a while from there. But it blends into other dreams. But essentially, that's it. That we got divorced, and I had to give up my ring, and she moved, and then she was happy, and fuck. Yeah. I thought that's all I can do for now. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm okay. I think. um, yeah, I think I'll be okay. The sun's is still high. Um, Yeah, I just gotta go get something to drink. Water, not alcohol. Maybe I'm okay if I'm making jokes. All right, see you tomorrow. Thanks.